All right, let's dive into a really profound philosophical puzzle. It all kicks off with a simple, almost dismissive question that was asked about 1400 years ago. But this one little question, it actually cracks open a huge flaw in how our minds work, how we try to make sense of the world, and just how easily we can get it all wrong. So, this was the heart of their skepticism. They looked at him and saw a man who ate, who slept, and who walked through the marketplace, just like they did. So their conclusion felt totally obvious. Hey, if he's just like us, how can he possibly be divinely inspired? And that very human observation, right there, is what sets up our entire conversation today. And this question, well, it forces us to take a hard look at the very tool they were using to judge him. It's a tool that you and I use every single day, probably without even thinking about it: comparison. Or, to use the philosophical term, analogy. Now, this tool, known in Arabic as qiyas, is so fundamental to how we think. It's almost like the grammar of our thoughts. It's as built in as the structure of language itself. We see something new, and our brain immediately goes, okay, what is this like that I already know? It's literally how we learn, how we reason, and how we make all our judgments. Okay, and this is where the whole story gets really interesting, because the mystic philosopher Ayn al-Qawzat gives us a warning. He says that while this tool is absolutely essential for thinking, using it the wrong way is incredibly dangerous. It can lead us not to clarity, but straight into some really deep misunderstandings. So first up, let's take a look at the deceptive side of analogy, the one that totally led the Meccans astray, and honestly continues to trip us up all the time today. The great poet Rumi just nailed the essence of this whole error. He basically said, the problem starts when we use our own limited experience as the universal yardstick for, well, everything. And he tells this brilliant little story to show us exactly what he means. So just picture this clever parrot sitting there in the shop, probably feeling a little down on its luck after a little accident with some almond oil made all its head feathers fall out. It's just sitting there silently. Until one day. You see, from the parrot's one singular experience, there was only one possible reason for baldness. It just projected its own reality onto somebody else. This is a perfect and kind of funny demonstration of a flawed comparison, what logicians call a false analogy. Rumi gives us another really powerful example. Think about a bee and a wasp. They might both drink from the very same flower, the same sweet nectar. But because of their inner natures, one of them produces honey and the other produces poison. The outer form, the action of eating, is identical, but the substance, their inner reality, couldn't be more different. They are worlds apart. And that's it. The people of Mecca were the parrot in the story. They saw the superficial similarity, a man walking in a market, and they used that to jump to a conclusion about his inner reality. They completely missed the one crucial, invisible thing that made him different: divine revelation. So this is the really critical point. No great thinker ever rejects logic itself. What they reject is this flawed, superficial kind of comparison you see on the left, the one that's just based on appearances. What they champion is the rigorous, structured reasoning you see on the right, which is what actually leads to genuine knowledge. But what if there's a way of knowing that goes even beyond the most careful step-by-step logic? This is where the whole discussion takes another fascinating turn. Think about how a logical argument works. It's a careful, deliberate journey, right? You move step by step from things you already know to a brand new conclusion. It's incredibly powerful, it's reliable, but it's a walk, not a flight. So mystics and philosophers, guys like Ibn Sina and Ayn al-Qawzat, they talk about a whole other faculty. They describe it as a prepared, luminous mind that doesn't need to walk through all the steps. It doesn't crawl along the path. It takes a leap. And this distinction is so important. Insight, or basirat, isn't about throwing reason out the window. It's not illogical. It's translogical. It's like it sees the destination in an instant, without needing to map out every single turn in the road. This is what they mean by leaping beyond the intellect to a more direct way of seeing. And this higher form of perception, it doesn't just change how you think. It completely changes how you experience reality itself, including the most basic thing we operate in: time. We tend to think of eternity as just a really, really, really long time ago. But these thinkers saw it totally differently. For them, Azal isn't the distant past. It's the underlying timeless reality of the present moment. It's a whole other plane of existence that isn't governed by the tick-tock of a clock. Take the Battle of Karbala, for example. As a historical event, it's fixed in time, right? 680 AD. But in this other realm, Azal, its spiritual reality, its meaning is always present. It's accessible to people with insight, those who can perceive this deeper dimension. And boom, this brings us full circle, right back to our original puzzle. The people of Mecca could only see the man in the market, the guy moving through clock time, because that's all their senses could pick up. They couldn't perceive that other dimension of Azal, that timeless, eternal reality that he was connected to at the very same time. So, what's the big takeaway here? Well, the error was never in observing the prophet's humanity. That part was true. The error was in the tool they used to measure his total reality. They were using the ruler of their own sensory experience. And that ruler could only measure physical things. They were completely blind to anything that existed beyond it. It was literally like trying to measure the temperature with a yardstick. Wrong tool for the job.
And this ancient story, it leaves us with a challenge that is so incredibly modern. It's asking us to be aware of the limits of our own perception, to really question our assumptions, and to always, always be asking ourselves, is the yardstick I'm using, is it actually fit to measure the reality I'm trying so hard to understand?